Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera to all my students. So my name is Dr Emedya Samsudin and I will be your lecturer that going to conduct the Microsoft Project Software class for BFC for 3201 Civil Engineering Software. So as you know, for the next 5 weeks, you'll be with me uh, to learn on how to use the Microsoft Project as a planning and scheduling tools for your project. So this software is basically very important, especially in the project management and on the project planning and scheduling for the project before. Usually when we use Microsoft Project, we need to use this software before any project starts. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. All right. So basically, construction is a very big, or construction project management is a very big area which cover from the initial stage of any project when the client start to initiate what are their needs and what are their goals and future project to be done. Okay, so it starts from the initial briefing on the project proposals and up to the design stage and then construction stage and post-construction stage, which is after the handover of the project. Okay, at certain period, okay, especially during the defect liability period. Okay, so basically, when we do a project, we have to plan as early as after the client initiate on the project and initiate their interest to do the project. Okay, so this project planning and scheduling involve four main important components. Okay, for example, let's say you already know that you want to do let's say construction of one whole development in new land. Okay, this construction consists of development of business area, development of housing area, recreational area, and maybe many more. Okay, so what you need to do, okay, as an engineer, especially project manager, or if you've been appointed as the uh, project planner for this project. So basically what you need to do, you need to gather all the information regarding that project and you have to start to plan. After that, you put the duration to schedule the program or the project, and then you have to use your planning and scheduling to organize the progress of the project and also to control all the resources that involved in the project. Okay, so the main important components that related to project management consists of the cost of the project, the times, okay, time taken or durations taken to complete each task, especially, and the whole project, so that it will be delivered according to the assigned contract durations. Okay, other than that, the component that you need to control or look into your planning and scheduling is the quality of the product or the project, and then the scope of work that involved, and finally on the resources. These resources includes all the machineries, the materials, and also people. Okay, so these five components are the main thing that that's going to affect the end product of the project, and to ensure that what what are being done on the site will fulfill the client's satisfactions. Okay, so therefore that's why it's very important for any project to be carefully planned as early as before the design stage. Okay, before the design stage. But it actually depends on types of the project. If the project and where are you sitting on, where you are sitting, which chair that you are sitting on. Okay, if you are sitting on the client side, okay, so meaning that your project planning and scheduling must include all stages from the design stage until the handover stage, until the defect liability period stage. Okay, if you are sitting on the um, consultant side, so maybe your project planning and scheduling is much more important, especially on the design stage only. Okay, if you are involving as a contractor or the subcontractor, so the planning should be on the construction physical work itself, according to the contract period, construction contract period. Okay, so depends lah on which seat or in which chair that you're sitting. So the project planning must cover all the job scopes that falls under your responsibility or obligations. All right. So this is an overview, okay, for the construction. Either it's a infrastructure construction or it's a building construction. Okay, so project management is actually the stage before the handover. Okay, that is the project management. And after the handover, usually the responsibility of the project is under the owners itself. Okay, so that is where all the maintenance work and the facility management work will be take place. Okay, that is under the owner's responsibility. Okay, but for the construction project management, this involve from the initial intentions to build, um, and then the design stage, okay, and also the construction stage itself. Okay, so basically, as a project planner, okay, usually you are only look into the construction management stage or construction management phase. Okay, yeah, which is from the initial design stage until the handover stage. Okay, after that it will be responsibility of the owner itself. All right. So in the construction project life cycles, okay, construction project life cycles is start from the initial intention by the client on their ideas to construct any project, or to start for any project, either building or either infrastructure. So it start with the initial idea, okay, and then first stage after the client has initiate their idea what to construct to the consultants, especially the architect or the engineers. Okay, so then the architect and the engineers will take place to design, to plan and to design, okay, the project for the project. Okay, after that, after the design or the plan have been approved and agreed by all parties, especially the client, okay, then it will be the construction stage, which happens on the site. Okay, so all the things that involve in the construction project life cycle, okay, must be properly planned and scheduled in the project planning. Okay, so this is very important so that as client can monitor the whole activities of the project, okay, from start until the completion. Okay, so construction project planning and scheduling is two different things. Okay, project planning meaning that you plan what are the activities or what are the tasks that are going to involve in your construction project. Okay, but when we talk about scheduling, so scheduling meaning that you put duration into every activities or every task that involve in your project. So project planning and scheduling, basically you have to combine them together so that you have an overall planning, scheduling, monitoring and controlling the project, and so that the project will be conduct and completed, okay, according to the goals and objective given by the client. So basically, the objective of a project management are first, why we need to do the planning and scheduling is because we want to reduce or eliminate, if possible, okay, any risk that associate to the project. For example, risk of delay because of weather, risk of uh, project starts due to material delivery issues or due to shortage of resources. Okay, so because we want to avoid or we want to eliminate or from all these things happen, all the risk to happen to the project, so that the project will complete on time. So that's why we need to have a proper planning, scheduling, monitoring, and control basis to the project. Okay. Secondly, we want to obtain a true understanding of the project objective and milestone. Okay, because project is basically usually takes a lot of time or a long time to complete. Okay, it depend on the size of the project itself. If the project is a big project, okay, so for sure it will take more than 2 years to complete. Okay, but if it's just a small construction project, a small project size, maybe it take 1 up to 2 years to complete. Okay, but for the stakeholders, for the clients, for the consultants, for the engineers, and for the contractors to understand what happened in the project, okay, when it's happened. So they have to look into the whole project planning and scheduling of the project. Okay. And then thirdly is to formulate a strategy for achieving our objective with available resources. And next is to develop a framework for monitoring and control of the project. So these are all the four objectives of a project management. Okay, so usually when we want to start to create our project planning and scheduling, okay, for our new project, okay, what we need to do, we need to create the work program. Okay, so firstly, usually the first stage is you know the project, you understand what's going to happen on the project, and then what you need to do is you need to identify what are the activities that might involve in that project. Okay, so for you to identify the activities, you have to gather all the information. Either it can be done either through your experience, if you are a very experienced person. So basically, when you get a project, then you know what going to happen next. Okay, but if you are freshies, okay, you don't have any experience, how you want to identify the activity is by learning from your seniors, especially your project manager, or you can also learn from your counterparts. You get all the information or gather all the information from your client as well as your subcontractors on site. Okay, so what you need to do on the first stage is you must identify the all the activities that might involve in detail, so that you will not miss any activity in the construction, because each activity usually involve cost and also labor and material, involve resources. Okay, so for you to detail out what are the resources that required to complete that particular task, okay, you need to understand what going to happen on that particular task or stage. Okay, so a work program or schedule can be described as a sequence of activities to be carried out. Okay, even though you have identified what are the activities, you also need to identify what activities going to happen first and what will be the precedence activity. What is the next activity? Okay, so it is very important so that you can properly manage and plan all the activities according to their sequences. Okay, so that the construction project can be completed on time. So we don't want to miss out any activities so that we can complete the activities on time. Okay, because if we miss out any activities, we might miss out the resources, and it will cost additional time if you need to find the resources or you need to do your orders for the material. Okay, then it will cause delay to the whole project at the end. Okay, so a process for the development of work program or schedule involve first identify the activities, okay, identify what are the sequences, and then estimate the duration. So basically, duration estimation can be happen early or it can be happen after you develop the sequences. Okay, so it's depend, okay, on how you manage your program. Okay. And then finally, contract program. Okay, what are the duration and what are the, is there any contract involved for the program? Okay. So basically, in all work program or all scheduling, okay, there are four elements in plan that you have to plan ahead. Okay, so first you need to identify what has to be delivered, or we call it the deliverables. Okay, so what are the activity or task that you need to deliver on the site, okay, or to complete, to construct or to complete this project. Okay, and then after you identify what to be delivered, okay, then you need to identify what is the best method to deliver. For example, okay, let's say you are doing a infrastructure, building construction. Okay, so this is a let's say it's a mm, 10 or 15 stories of apartments. Okay, so what are the method that usually or normally can be used to construct a 15-story apartment? So maybe you have the IBS system, maybe you have the conventional system, and then maybe you have the precast system. So you need to know what are the method, okay, and which is the best method to deliver. Okay, so for you to know which is the best method to deliver is depend on your budget, on the cost of the project program, on the time that being allocated to complete the contract, okay, and also on the resources that you have. Okay, let's say let's say you are a company that is very expert in IBS system. Okay, maybe you can use this system because you already have the resources, okay, to construct. Unless you don't have the expertise or resources, you can choose the other method, or you can outsource the method if the client required that method for the construction of your project. Okay, so basically you have to know what are the method because it will affect the time. Okay, for the conventional construction, so whereby you have to install your formwork and to install your rebars, and you have to concreting, okay, and then you have to put on the brickworks and so on. So it might take a longer time to complete and lots of resources, but it is the most cheapest uh, method of construction, but depends on the duration. Okay, if you've been given, let's say, 1 year to complete the project, it's impossible for you to use that method, traditional method, to complete 15-story apartment building. Okay, maybe you have to look into the other technology or other technology to construct your that building. Okay, so that will involve time and also cost and resources. So you have to know which delivery method to for you to deliver that project. Okay, so you have to plan it ahead, and then how long it takes to go it takes to complete. So you need to know if you are using conventional method, maybe how long it takes, and you have to consider everything, the installation, the weather, and then you have to consider on the curing process of the concrete, and have and so on, and so many more. Okay, so you have to know in detail what going to happen, what is required for that particular method, so how long it's going to take to complete that activities. Okay, and then what is needed to complete the project, so the resources in term of time, in term of material, in term of people, in term of machinery, and so on. So you have to identify in as early as possible before the project starts, because you have to plan everything. For example, the material, you need to know when is the best time, when is the suitable time to deliver, let's say, brickwork to site. Okay, because we don't in construction project, we don't deliver material at one time. Okay, because it will be storage issue, it will be security issue, and many more issues that related to the project. Okay, so that's why we only deliver material a few days or a week before the task started. Okay, so that's why we need to plan ahead, and what are the resources that required, okay, for you to complete or to do the project. Okay, so in project planning and scheduling, okay, so there are few conventional methods that have been done. For example, we have the Gantt chart. Okay, so Gantt chart is the most older and the most used planning and scheduling of a project. So this is the easiest way, easiest method for you to do your planning and scheduling for a project. Okay, sometimes contractor which we that don't have any software, okay, they might use Excel to do the monitoring using the Gantt chart. Okay, so this is the oldest and the most conventional method that become the basis of all project planning and scheduling software, okay, including Primavera and also Microsoft Project. Okay, and then we have the critical path method. So CPM or critical path method is also one of the um, basic method in project planning and scheduling. Okay, so in CPM there are two ways for you to calculate the CPM, either using the arrow diagram method or you using the network diagram method. Okay, PDM, PDM, precedence diagram method. Okay, so basically arrow diagram method or ADM. Sometimes some books, certain book call it as arrow activity on arrow, AOA. Okay, so this is a network diagram that use arrow to show the task, to represent the task. Okay, for example, you can see in this figure. Okay, so you have nodes. So node indicate the start and also the end point of each task. Okay, and the arrow itself represent the activity that involved in that particular project. Okay, so usually for ADM, okay, they use arrow to show the project tasks or activities, okay, and connected by the node to express their logical relationship and also to express, to show the start and finish point, okay, for activities. Okay, next we have the network diagram or activity or node. So it's much more famous as being called as the PDM or precedence diagram method. So this method use the node, okay, as activity. So it's contrast with the ADM where activities is represented by the arrow, but for network diagram or PDM, the activity is shown or represented by the nodes. Okay, so activity is a place on the node. So the arrow is used to connect between tasks or to show their logical relationship. Either it's finish to start or finish to finish or start to start or finish to start to finish. Okay, so the relationship. Okay, so this is what I call the relationship of project or the activities, between activities. So activity, as you know, activity is basically the task that usually have or required time and resources, either manpower, machinery, materials. Okay, usually activity that involve resources, okay, and involve duration. Okay, so but to show the relationship between one task to the other task, so this is where you use the arrow. Okay, so for, let's say, activity relationship, as I mentioned before, we have four types of relationship. In project planning, we can use either finish to start, meaning that after one activity finish or after the preceding activity finish, then it will followed by the next activity or the successor activity, okay, to start. You finish here, for example, finish activity A, and then you will start activity B. That is finish to start relationship. Okay, start to start relationship meaning that you have two or more activities that start concurrently. Okay, start at the same time. Let's say you start activity A and at the same time you start activity B. Okay, for example, you start your brickwork, at the same time you start your installation of the door and window frame. Okay, so this is also possible. Okay, can to be done. So next is the finish to finish relationship. Okay, finish to finish relationship meaning that if activity A completed, then activity B also will be completed, or the next activity will be completed at the same time. Okay, or after a few days of the completion of the first activity. Okay, it's have relationship finish to finish. For example, let's say you finish install your brickwork, at the same time you also must finish install your aluminium frame for window and doors. Okay, for example, this is an example. Okay, so this is finish to finish relationship. And finally, start to finish relationship, you start activity A, at the same time you must finish activity B. Okay, for example, you want to start to do the external fence brickwork. Okay, uh, so before that activity, at the same time you must finish all the let's say undercoat, or first coat of the external painting. Okay, so that is example of start to finish relationship. Okay, so remember, in Microsoft Project or in Primavera and so on, okay, usually we use short form to show the relationship. And for example, you will see later on, okay, when you use the software, you will use FS, FF, SS, and SF to connect the arrow, okay, to show their relationship between task to the other task. Okay, so there are few basic terminologies that you will keep on using when you use the software after this. Okay, so you have to understand. I think you already learned in the sustainable construction management on project planning and scheduling using ADM and PDM. So basically, all the terminology is the same. Okay, when we do the construction planning and scheduling using software, you are if you are taking when you are taking your elective, if you are selecting construction project planning subject, so you also will learn on the same terminology on the project planning and scheduling. Okay, so first you have the backward pass. Backward pass is the calculation method for ADM. Okay, this is based on a asap, backward pass and forward pass. This is be an asap or alap lah. Okay, as soon as possible or as late as possible. Okay, so backward pass is a critical part calculation process which having calculated earliest date for activities on network. Okay, it calculate based on the earliest start date. Okay, backward pass calculate based on the earliest start date, and so work backward to find the activities later start and finish date or the float. And then you have baseline. Okay, baseline basically a set of date and cost frozen at the start of the project and use as a basis for performance evaluation as the project progresses. Okay, and then you have the critical activity. So this is an activity that is on the project critical path. Okay, and then you have the critical path. This is the pathway that all activities is very important and cannot be delayed. Okay, so this determine the shortest time possible for you to complete the project. Okay, and then you have duration. So duration is basically the estimated time required for you to perform an activity. And then you have also, hold on, the dummy activity. Dummy activity when you do the ADM or the PDM manually. Okay, usually you will use the dummy activity to, this is represented by a dotted line on the arrow diagram method. Okay, that indicates that any activity following the dummy cannot be started until the activities preceding of the dummy are completed. So this is just an arrow that shows the relationship, okay, of one activity to the other activity, completion. Okay, and usually if you're using ADM and you are using dummy in the your network, so dummy don't have any times. They just show the relationship. Okay, and then you have the early start, early finish. Early start meaning the earliest time or the earliest date that you can start your project, that particular task. Okay, and early finish meaning that the earliest time that you can complete the activity. Okay, so early finish basically you can calculate based on early start plus the duration. So, okay, the duration of the task. Okay, and then you have float. Float is not an ice cream. Float is the amount that time of the activity in the project can be delayed without any effect to the whole project durations, meaning that in some activities you might have a clearance days or days that will not affect the other activities. Some activities, yes, you have the clearance, okay, or you have the float, okay. So this will make or will enable that particular activity to be delay their start a little bit without affecting the successor activity, okay. And then you have the free float. So this is the amount of time an activity can be delayed without delaying the early start time. This is what I told you just now. Okay, and then for reporting, you have the S curve, financial or physical. So this is the graph that usually the clients want to look into when you report on your progress of your project. Okay, so the S curve, they display the cumulative cost. Is this cost lah, so labor hours. Physical, they shows the labor hours and also the percent of completion. Okay, that been plotted against time according to the contract duration. Okay, and then you have the total float. This is the amount of time an activity can be delayed without delaying the completion date of the project. Okay, total float is calculated based on late finish minus early start minus duration. Okay, and then you have predecessor. Okay, predecessor is referred to one or several tasks or many tasks, okay, that have to be completed before another task can start. So predecessor is basically activity behind. Okay, so usually when we want to start one activity, we have to make sure that the preceding activity has been completed first. Okay. All right. Since you already learned, you should have take the sustainable construction projects course. Okay. I'm giving you one activities for you to complete for this week. Okay. So basically, I set once activities A up to H. Okay. They have their own durations. Okay, for each activity, and then it predecessor. So this is for you to refresh back and to recall back your skills in doing the project planning and scheduling using the conventional ADM or PDM method. Okay. So I'll let you to choose, either you want to choose using ADM or you want to choose using PDM. Okay, but in this case, we only give you predecessor. We do not give you the relationship between the tasks. Okay, so you have to use the activity, put on the durations, and use the predecessor. Predecessor meaning the activity before. Okay, use the predecessor to create your network diagram. Okay, and identify the critical parts for the network. Okay, so that is the first stage, okay, that you need to do. Okay, after you have completed, okay, all the network, you have get your complete network diagram and you know what is the total project duration. The next one I want you to do, this is manually, you don't have to use the software. Okay, I want you to identify when will be your finish date if your project start on the 8th March 2023. Okay, you have to assume in this activity, you have to assume, let's say this project will have 5 working days, from Monday to Friday, and then a public holiday, so for Monday to Friday. Okay, so the work start at 8 a.m. in the morning, and then until 12 p.m. Okay, on the evening, on the afternoon, okay, in the afternoon, and then rest for 1 hour, and then start back work on at 1 p.m. until 5 p.m. Okay, from Monday to Friday. Okay, you have work 5 days in a row. Okay, and then you have to identify the public holidays that involve. Let's say you have public holiday on the 5th June, which is the Agong's birthday, and on 29th June, which is the Hari Raya Haji, okay, for 1 day only. Okay, by considering the public holidays and the working days, okay, I want you to give me what is the completion date or the project finish date, okay, for this task or for this project. Okay, so I want you to do manually using either ADM or PDM, up to you. I will leave it to you. Okay, and then give me the completion date of this project by considering the working days and also the public holidays that involve during on the schedule, okay, on the calendar. All right. So this is your task for this week. You have to submit to me. Okay, through this link, you can scan and submit, upload your answer. Okay, and I will record your attendance for the week 5 on my class. Okay, based on the submission. Okay, no worries. Either your answer is right or wrong. It's not the issues. I just want you to experience and recall back what you have learned through the conventional planning and scheduling method using ADM or CPM lah, ADM or PDM. Alright, so this is your task for this week. For further, you can also watch for this course. You can also watch on the Puan Siti Khalijah Yaman YouTube channel. So Puan Siti Khalijah is a certified project planner, okay, in our faculty. Okay, you can always refer to her channel for you to learn more on project planning and scheduling using the Microsoft project. Okay, so this is for your first week lecture. So I hope that I'm going to see you back online, okay, on the week 6. Okay, we will learn and we will start to use the software. Okay, before that, if you don't have any Microsoft Project software, please find one. Either it is original or dot dot dot. So depends on availability and depends on your budget. Okay, yeah, but if you can get the original one, so it's better. Okay, but if you don't have the original one, so it's okay. Just use whatever you have. Okay, because next week we're going to start to use the software together to start our planning and scheduling using Microsoft Project. So for the software, you can also use either to 2013, 2016 version or 2019, or you want to use the latest one also can. It's up to you. Okay, whatever you have, so just use for your learning purpose. All right, so I'll see you next week. So thank you very much for your attention. Don't forget to submit your uh, task before the next class. Okay, so hopefully to see you on next week. Assalamualaikum, and I'll see you next week. Bye.